Hey everyone, so I was thinking about what to do for my next video. I know that I said in the last one I wasn't really sure, but then I decided I might do a follow-on to the reveal of the starter kit box last time. So I'm actually going to use the products in my look today. I'll probably pause a few times when I'm using things that are not related to what's in the starter box. And then at the end, I'll show you the finished look. So obviously, as you can see, I've already done my eyeshadow today. Also, just to mention before we get started that I've been using the Dream Clean cleanser for, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 days now. I really like it. I've seen a big difference. Also to follow on from that and on another product that was in the starter kit box. Obviously before I've started my makeup, I've done my skincare routine. So part of that skin routine was moisturizer, which I've used the Skin Therapy moisturizer that was in the starter kit. I can see a big difference. I've probably been using it maybe as long as the Dream Clean cleanser, but I can definitely see, probably the main difference that I can see is that these furrows that are in my forehead, I just don't think they seem as deep. Like, they seem a lot less noticeable, I think is the main difference. But because they're less noticeable, I'm noticing a big difference. So anyway, as you can see, I've done this golden caramel brown glittery smoky eye today, because I thought that those colours would best suit the lip gloss colour which I got in my starter box. So I'm just going to pause for a minute until I get organised and then I'll be right back. Okay guys, so the next thing that I usually do in my makeup routine, and I know I said a lot about this on Facebook yesterday on my wall and also in the makeup group, about primer. I can't really talk about primer enough. When I first started doing makeup, I never ever used primer. And I didn't see the point. I didn't see that it made a difference, but it literally can make or break your makeup look. It can be the difference between you looking powdery and uneven foundations and all sorts of those little issues that you get with your makeup application. It can change it to be like everything blends a little bit better. Everything just looks a little bit more even. It just gives you that barrier between your skin and the products that you're putting on it. So primer, must have thing. The primer that I'm going to be using today is a spray. I've used sprays in the past. I didn't mind them, but because my skin's usually so dry, I tend towards a more oil, gel or cream based primer. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using the spray, and it'll actually be a good test for me, because if it really does a good job on my dry skin, well, that's testament to how good it really is. So the primer that we're going to be using today is the First Base spray from Limelife by Alcone. Now this is the travel size, 147 mils. You can get a larger size in this one. I can't remember exactly what the bigger size is, but when you've watched the video, I'll be putting the usual link to my website down in the description. So just jump on and have a look. As I said, this one is the travel size. Now, what I'm going to do, because I have actually been reading up a lot about the products recently, I'm going to spray it over my face, but in the instructions on the website, it actually says to spray in an X and also a T for the T-zone. Now, I'm just going to shade my hand over my eyeshadow because I've already done that and I don't really want a whole heap of product landing on makeup that I've already done. So what I've just done is I've taken off the lid. As you can see, we've got a pump action spray here. So I'm just going to hold it a little away from my face just so that the product mists evenly over my skin and it's not just concentrated in one area, because otherwise that area might become sticky and the makeup will be uneven. So I'm just going to put my hand up here above my eyeshadow and I'm just going to do the X and the T like that. Feels really nice, really refreshing. And I'm just going to leave it for about 30 seconds to a minute so that it can settle into my skin. And also at the moment it's still a little bit damp, so I'm just going to let it dry off. And then I'm going to get my foundation sponges and all of those things, because I really want to show you how the foundation blends out when you've got a primer on your skin first. Okay everyone, so I've just got a couple of things here that I usually use for my base. I've got a foundation palette. I usually squeeze my liquid foundation onto this and then I warm up the foundation with the sponge on the palette before I put it on my face. Now, I can tell from my skin that it's kind of got a good barrier on it, because if you can see that shine that's hitting my face, that's not oil, it's just like the spray has kind of sealed my skin. So that's a plus, let's put it that way. Now, I usually like to use a stick foundation under my eyes because, as you can see, I have quite significant dark circles under my eyes, and I just continue it down the side of my nose. Now, I'm just going to do one side first just so you can see the difference. I'm just using a flat brush. I would normally like to use like a kabuki brush or something like that. But this is the next closest thing. I think my kabuki brushes are drying at the moment because I washed them a couple of days ago. But we're just going to use a flat brush just to press the foundation into the skin. Of course, in the under eye area, you don't want to be pressing foundation in too hard because that skin in the under eye area is really, really delicate and you can create more fine lines than you're trying to cover up. So I'm just using a light downwards brushing motion around the edge of my nose and up my cheekbone, just to blend that area of product into the rest of my face. And then when I get to the under eye area, I'm going to actually use a different technique. Okay, so I'm just going to lean this way just so that the light hits it and you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of pressing the product in, but I'm not pressing down so hard that I'm like making dimples in the skin. Does that make sense? Like, if I do it down here, see how if I press really hard, it makes like a depression. That's what I was trying to get at, a depression in the skin. I'm just kind of like patting at it. So I'm just patting at the edges where the product that I've just put on meets the skin on my face that has no product. And you can just pat a little along the edges like that. But I don't want to spread the product out too much because I actually want kind of a thick application of product under there because I'm trying to cover up that under eye area. And now I'm kind of just gently sweeping it across under my eyelid. But I'm trying not to drag the skin too hard under there because I don't want to create any like wear or damage on that delicate skin under there. And then I'm just like patting the product in gently. And I'm just swiping across so that that whole area is covered. You know what? That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So if you can see the difference between the two, this is no foundation and this is foundation. So remembering we've put on the first base spray and that's where we've ended up. I quite like how smooth it looks, and it doesn't look cakey or powdery in any way. So that's our first plus. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do the other under eye area, and then we're going to come back and do some liquid foundation. Okay, so I've gone ahead and applied stick foundation underneath the other eye. Now we're going to go ahead with our liquid foundation, and I'm just going to give it a shake because, I don't know, I've noticed during the cold weather that some things are starting to like thicken up a little bit, like especially my liquid highlighters I've noticed have started to kind of solidify a bit. So I'm just giving that a quick shake. Now I've got my palette here. I'm just popping a little bit on there. So I'm going to grab my big, I call it an egg sponge, even though it's not even an egg shape, but I don't know, it's just my egg sponge. This is probably my favourite shape of makeup sponge to use. I don't know why. Tegan, we just nearly had a flood of drink all over the kitchen floor.
I was too interested in watching
you need to drink some out of it, mate, because it's going to overflow. She was too interested in watching what we're doing over here when she was getting herself a drink.
Fabulous.
Okay, so now that we've gone past that, we're going to start doing foundation. So I'm just like, I'm kind of just tapping into the foundation so that it's like a bit more even and I don't have too much on the one area. Tegan, go and play with the cat somewhere else, doll. Like, seriously. Thank you. Okay, now, again, because I have dry skin, I like to start the application of my foundation on my forehead, and then also I like my main concentration of product to be in this like V-shaped area in the middle of my face, because my face shape is a heart-shaped face shape. I kind of use that to, because I've got width here and width here, I use that area to narrow everything and concentrate everything into the middle of my face. It's kind of a bit like an optical illusion. So I'm just pouncing the foundation over my forehead, and I'm just going to continue it down onto my cheekbone and the corner of my mouth. Now I'm just going to let that set for a few seconds while I grab some more product and kind of like, it's almost like you're thinning it out so that you're not ending up with a big blob just in one area. So now I'm just going to go down my face. I actually learned this technique off Hayley, so kudos to Hayley Brown right now. And I think I spoke about it in one of my other videos where you have that fine layer of hair over your face, which Hayley calls, and I've now started to call, peach fuzz. So that flattens it down, gives the makeup a smoother look. Don't forget to lightly do your ears because you don't want to have this flawless foundation base and then you've got these really red ears. Oh my God, that is the monster zit of the century. Can you guys see that? How disgusting. Anyway, we're going to just live with it. Okay, because today we're concentrating on the Limelife products. Okay, so that's kind of my first layer of foundation. I kind of like to let it set for about 30 seconds to a couple of minutes because then I like to do another layer, as I was saying, in that middle part of my face and especially in that under eye area. So if you let the foundation that's there already set a little bit, you kind of get like a double up application where the product's thicker in that area because you've already got one layer there. So I'm just going to pause for a few minutes until this just settles into my skin and sets a bit, and then we're going to come back and do the next bit of foundation. Okay everyone, so we're back to do that second application around the middle of the face and the under eye area. So I'm just grabbing the rest of the product and evening it out or warming it up on my palette. Now, when we pounced on the foundation before, that was fine because we just wanted a light, even coverage over the rest of the face. This time, we're going to press the foundation into those areas where we want the greatest coverage. So I'm just kind of pressing it in and kind of almost turning the sponge just because we really want our best coverage in that area. Keeping that V shape that I was talking about before. Okay. Just pressing into that under eye area where we've got that stick foundation and also the first layer of foundation that we put before. Now, I can see, if you can notice the difference between the two, it's a lot more even in this area, and I kind of like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and press in to this one now. I'm kind of twisting the sponge. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm just kind of pressing the foundation into that area because that's where I want my greatest concentration of product to be. Okay, so we've got our base on, which is important. Now I'm just going to go ahead off camera and I'm going to do my contouring and concealing, and then we're going to come back and set it with powder because that's our next product that we've got in our starter box. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, everyone, so what I've actually done, in contradiction to what I said before I paused, I haven't done any contouring at all. The only thing that I've done is I've just colour corrected in my under eye area and put some lightening concealer over the top just to blend it out. So based on that, basically all I've done is like the priming spray, foundation, colour corrector and lightening concealer in that under eye area. Now this is my real problem area. I always have a really big issue with it looking creased and cakey and horrible under there. But based on the fact that I've only used the primer and my normal products, I'm pretty impressed with what it looks like even right now. So what I'm going to do next is we always set cream products with powder. And because my skin's dry, I tend not to powder all of my face, just the areas where I've like colour corrected and concealed. So our next product in the starter kit is the Perfect Translucent Powder by Limelife. Now this one is really good because it's refillable, so you don't have that wastage of packaging. I've got a big fluffy powder brush here. On the website, there's a whole section on brushes and tools that you can use, so, you know, jump on and have a look. So I'm just dipping into the powder lightly. I don't want too much product on my face because, as I've said before, my skin is dry. So if I overload it with powder, it tends to look really cakey and horrible really quickly. So I'm just going to tap off the excess powder off the brush. I'm just turning it around a little bit so that I can get the product off the other side. And I'm just, again, lightly pressing it in that under eye area. And I tend not to leave the powder on to bake for too long because, again, with dry skin, I really have trouble with powder, and it's a little bit like my nemesis. So if this powder is really good, well, I'm going to be pretty seriously impressed. So now that we've popped that on, I'm just going to sweep off the excess powder with my brush in a downwards motion on both sides. And that's our under eye area where we've concealed and colour corrected set. So I'm pretty happy with how it looks right now, but the key to it is going to be how it wears the longer that it's on. Because I usually find with powder, the longer that it's on my face, the worse it starts to look. And I usually have to touch up there and just smooth everything out because it almost starts looking like a piece of paper, really dry. So anyway, that's the Perfect Translucent Powder. Our next product that we're going to use will probably be our eyeliner. So I'll pause and do the rest of the things that I need to do first, and then we'll come back for eyeliner. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and off camera, I've done my contouring, my blush and my eyeliner in my waterline and stuff like that. So now we're going to talk about the eyeliner and the mascara. Now I normally wear a liquid eyeliner and I normally do false lashes, but for the purposes of this video and trying the products in the starter kit, we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So first of all, what I'm going to start off with is eyeliner. Now, I usually like a really big dramatic flick in my eyeliner, and one of the keys I think to a good eyeliner is the flexibility of the applicator. the more flexible it is, it seems like you have more control over where you want that flick to go. So we're gonna use today the Perfect Eyeliner Pen, which is this one here in Midnight Black. So as I was saying last video, very, very, very fine point on this pen, which I actually really like, because that's gonna let me get those really fine lines and definition that I usually like. So I'm just starting at my lash line, just using small strokes because I don't want to make a big blob in an area. Another thing that's going to be a plus about this eyeliner pen is, as you can see, I've got glitter on my lids, and quite often sometimes the felt tipped eyeliner does not cover over that glitter and it just doesn't apply well over the top of it. But at the moment, how I can see, the eyeliner's going on very smoothly and it's not having a problem with that glitter that's already on there. So as you can see, I've just run a line from where my lash line starts to the corner of my eye, and it's actually really, really nice and it's easy to use. So I'm just going to go into the corner of my eye now, and I'm just going to flick up. Really, really nice, flexible application on the end of that pen, nib, whatever. And as you can see, I've created the shape for a flick there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up here and just come back down, creating that shape. I really like it. Now I'm just going to fill in this area here, right along the lash line. And sometimes I find with eyeliner pens, this is where you have the most problem, because the applicator is starting to get a lot of eyeshadow on it, and sometimes it interferes with the colour. But at the moment, that's not happening. I've got a strong black wing where I want it to be, and I'm not having to over apply the product because of that eyeshadow and glitter. So there you have it. I've got my wing, and I know that Nicole will appreciate this because she's commented on my wing before. So Nicole, there you have it. That's the Perfect Eyeliner Pen, and I'm winging it out. So I'm going to go again off camera and do the other eye, and then we're going to come back and talk mascara. Okay everyone, so I'm back. The other eye is done. Now my verdict on it is, yes, it's a really good pen. Yeah, I really like it. Just because of my personal preference and my look that I want to achieve, I tend to like my eyeliner very, very, very dark black. So I have gone over the top of it with a liquid eyeliner. But in saying that, I still like it for like tracing out that shape that I want to have before I fill in with liquid eyeliner. So yes, it's still a plus, and I would still use it to create that shape. It's just that with my personal preference and the look that I go for, you know, I just like that really dark thickness that a liquid eyeliner gives me. So now onto eyelashes. As I said earlier, I normally wear false lashes, but today we're not going to do that because we're going to be trying the Limelife Perfect Mascara in Black Noir, of course. because what else would I have? I'm not even going to curl my own eyelashes today. I'm just going to put the mascara straight on. So let's dive in. As you can see, I've got very, very, very light natural lashes. So this is going to be a big test. If they look really good and like they do with false lashes on, I'm going to be a fan. So I'm just applying mascara like I normally would. And it says on the website in the instructions to apply this in layers. So I'm going to let that sit while I do the other eye. And then we're going to pop on a couple more coats. Now, one of the main things I like about this mascara is that it's quite thick. So it's definitely going to coat those lashes and make them look fuller. Another thing that someone commented to me last week when they were having a look at the mascara that I'm using right now that's in my kit is that there's hardly any scent to it. That's really good for people's eyes that get easily irritated because they're not going to have that like kind of allergic reaction to the scent. Now that I've let that sit there a couple of seconds, already with the first layer, I'm liking it. So I'm just going to kind of sit it and curl my lashes upward with the product. So this is the second layer. I normally do 3 layers because, as I said before, I like quite dark looks. So we're going to curl this one upwards because I want it to follow the line of that eyeliner. Now, while that second layer is drying, I'm going to go ahead and apply to my bottom lashes. My bottom lashes are so tiny that it doesn't even look like I have any. So this is going to be key as well. If it makes me look like I've got eyelashes down there, you know that's a win. So I'm just running it across. Sorry, I'm just trying not to stick the spoolie in my eye the same time as I'm talking, and I'm just going to kind of wipe off a little bit of product off the end because I don't want to get a big blob in there. And I've just noticed too, I haven't done my under eye eyeshadow, so we'll do that in a minute as well. And that probably explains why I'm sitting here thinking, what looks weird? Why doesn't it look like it normally does? Well, that'd be why. Okay, so we've got quite defined bottom lashes there. And now I'm just going to put my final lash layer on quite thickly so that everything's just really black and defined, because that's what I like. Okay, so far I'm liking it. It's giving me a good dark look, and you know what? That's for me. So the last product in the starter kit that we're going to try is the Perfect Lip Gloss in Humble. I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of my look. I'm also going to apply some lip liner and a matte lip paint in a nude colour so that we can just pop the gloss over the top. And then I'll be back and give you my final thoughts.